This is the Barry Richards Show. WBSM On Demand.
Without further ado,
WBSM presents The Barry Richards Show. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, The Barry Richards Show.
I'm hoping that we have a new episode tonight. The writer's strike and the actor's strike that took place pushed a lot of the fall programming to late in the spring. SVU, it's been out for, I think, about 10 weeks now. And they've only put out 7 or 8 episodes. They missed last week and a couple of weeks ago. I think they're trying to space what they have every other week. At any rate, I'm about due for a new SVU. I'm hooked. My thanks again to our guest, Rebecca McGee-Tuck and Mary Lou Nicholson, coming in studio and talking to us about this. What it's turning out to be is a lot of litter. I've looked, 32,885 nip bottles that have been picked up around the area. But I don't know about you, whether it was 2014, whatever year it was, I voted against the bottle bill then, and it looks like the way that Mary Lou and company want to set it up now is not to let we, the people, have a say, go through the legislature and let them do the dirty deed. Which means that a few years later, the yous and me's would have to come up with a ballot referendum basically ending the hike on the bottle bill. By the way, they want the bottle bill to go from a nickel to 10 cents. Didn't we already say no to that? We said no to that, whether we were arm twisted into it or not. We said no to it. And once again, and leave it to the legislature. They'll get the folks like Masspurg or, some other organization to come out and advocate for this type of change. And then they'll turn around and say, well, we the people, this is what the people said that they wanted. The people said in 2014, and I agree, there's a different group of people. We are 10 years past that now. But at least let the people make the decision, not the legislature. I'll grin and bear it if the people say no. Or say yes, I should say. But if you let the Great and General Court, a.k.a. Bacon Hill lawmakers, make that decision, well, we see the decisions that they've made over the past several months and years. Are you down with the program that they've introduced to us? I know I'm not. But let's see where it goes. And speaking of what's been introduced or what hasn't been changed, more and more story about migrants. And migrants is a tricky word to use, because migrants could be people from the United States that have migrated to Massachusetts. that don't have a plug nickel, and they get money from the Commonwealth. But we also have people who are here legally, and I use air quotes when I say legally, because they have come across the border and they have claimed asylum, or that they want to claim for asylum. Well, that makes them here legally temporarily. Whether you and I like it or not, it's an entirely different thing. That they are here legally until they get that next court date, and then maybe here legally a little bit longer until the next court date after that. And since they are here legally, they should be allowed to work. That way, they don't have to keep on nickel and diming us with food stamps, shelter assistance. They would also be contributing to the school bill. They're here legally. My guess is the overwhelming majority are going to end up staying here. I was reading somewhere the other day where of the folks that come in and claim that they want asylum, 90%, 90%, show up for court. Now, if you were to ask me prior, I would have said, no way, 90%. I would have said, yeah, 70, 75. I would have been in that camp. Even 65%. I would have said, yeah, 90%. That tells me that they want to be here and believe that they have a reasonable claim. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say they do or they don't have a reasonable claim. But they believe that they do, which is contrary to a lot of yippity-yap that I hear. 90%. My guess is not only do the courts have the numbers, but the immigration folks have those numbers. All right, let's hear from you. 508-996-0500. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, Brian. RV Brian, how you doing?
Brian is.
Very good. Good to hear. Well, you know, Joe Biden and the Democrats and some of the Republicans, they've been involved in this racket. You know, they try to call them migrants, immigrants. They're foreign nationals. And according to Biden, he was through executive orders giving billions of dollars to the United Nations, and they're using all of their different UNICEF and many other United Nations agencies to bring them here. They go on the phone. They got a CVP app, and they fill out the application there. When they come across the border and they meet Border Patrol, they look at their cell phone, and they see all the information, and then they chauffeur them around to these migrant process centers. But according to FAIR, data compiled by them, just here in the state of Massachusetts, and I told this to Chris McCarthy, according to FAIR, an estimated 292,000 illegal aliens here in the state of Massachusetts. This is 2023 numbers. That could be much higher now. And children born of illegal aliens, 101,000 in our state. And in the public schools...
Okay, slow down. I want to make sure I've got this. The 292, at least on number, are the kids a part of that number, or are they... Or separate. Is that a separate number? So basically, we're talking about 393,000?
292,000 estimated illegal aliens, and children born of illegal aliens, according to FAIR, is 101,000. And get this, the students in the public schools, our public schools here in the state of Massachusetts, there are over 97,000 children of illegal aliens and illegal aliens in our public school systems.
That's a little deceptive, though.
Well, this is according to their numbers.
No. I won't argue the numbers, but I would say this. if the kids that are in the schools were born here, then they are U.S. citizens, even though they were born to folks that aren't here legally.
Right.
So, what do we say then? Folks feel like they are forced to go to school. If I had my way, they wouldn't be forced to go to school. But that's a topic for a different time. But it would be difficult. You know, it's one thing to say that kids are born from illegal aliens. But the fact is, if they were born here in the United States, then they are here legally.
Right, the 101,000, right. But if their parents weren't here through illegal means, if they didn't circumvent our laws, they wouldn't be here.
I
know
get
what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I understand that. But the mere fact that, because now we're saying 97, I think you said 97,000 and change are in the schools. So
correct, 97,750, according to data compiled by FAIR, which they came up with a number.
So how do we know which ones were born here and which ones are not here legally, that came across the border with their folks or a folk?
Well, either way, we're paying for them.
Oh, I know.
We don't have that money. That's the problem.
You know what? I get, but here's the problem. If you're talking U.S. citizens, that's one thing. If you're talking folks that are not U.S. citizens, we have to look at it differently. And I'm trying to break it down. I'm not. I agree with what you're saying. We are paying for it, but that is why I'm saying if they're here seeking asylum, then they're here legally. They should be allowed to work so they can at least contribute.
Well, they're given a tax ID number, Brian, and obviously they're buying automobiles and they're getting home loans and they're buying businesses according to the U.S. Census data compiled in 2021, which is the last one that they had. Massachusetts, the illegal aliens account for 4.3% of the population. And now we have Maura Healey since August of 2023. I believe it's August 8th. As a state of emergency, she wants to clean out $850 million of the ARPA funds, the escrow account, and then we have a $8.3 billion state surplus, and she wants to completely get rid of all these funds. So the problem is we don't have the money for it.
No, we don't.
And in CBS News, this is according to the report they had, in the beginning of 2023, this is a net cost, at least $150 billion it cost the U.S. in the beginning of 2023. There must be much higher than that now.
I got you, man. I hear you.
The Uniparty, Brian. That's just what Jesse Ventura calls Democrats and Republicans. The Uniparty. Under both of them, that's where we've got, whether it's outsourcing of jobs, and an invasion of illegal aliens, trade imbalance. All of this stuff didn't happen just yesterday. This has been an accumulation of bad policy and lack of enforcement of our laws, and
it's
is where
been
we are.
Festering.
Absolutely.
Festering.
And I don't think Donald Trump is going to be the savior either.
Oh, no, without a doubt. Hey, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it. 508-996-0500. I was watching this report on CBS Boston, which is WBZ TV, and it was talking about illegal immigration. But in this particular case, the report was about people that are coming in through Canada, coming in through New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire. They didn't really delve into Maine. And the numbers are a lot less. 7,000. But when you think about it, nobody is really paying attention to the northern border. And in the report, according to Customs and Border Patrol and the reporter from WBZ TV, a lot of people are smuggling folks across the border now. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I can tell you this much. With all of the attention being paid to Texas and Arizona and a little bit of California, I would be thinking about the northern border because everybody else's attention is on the southern border. I would be thinking about the coastline, those coastline states, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. I might skip over Maryland, Delaware. Is Delaware on the coast? I think it is, yeah. Isn't Rehoboth Beach on the coast? Yeah. Jersey, look at all the coastline. California coast, Oregon coast, Washington coast, Alaska. That's what I would be thinking. Your thoughts, 508-996-0500. That's how you get onto the program. We're even mediocre. I'm Brian. Our quote of the day, treat others the same way you want them to treat you. Luke 6:31. Treat others the same way you want them to treat you. If you're spending less than $20 a month for prescription drugs, great. If not, monthlyfeerx.com might be a good option for you. I was reading in New Boston Post, Tom Joyce put up an article, I believe, earlier this morning. There's a motel in Kingston, Plymouth Bay called the Wyndham Kingston Plymouth Bay. It's a Baymont type of hotel. And there is a nice bicycle rack with about a dozen bikes in the bicycle rack. The hotel you and I can't stay at right now. Not that I would really want to, but we can't. Because that facility is only open to migrants right now. And the bikes are transportation for the migrants. And from what I'm understanding, the bikes are donated by residents from around the area. So folks can get around. Most of the migrants are Haitian. And according to, I forgot, World Bank maybe, only about a quarter of the people that lived on Haiti have used any sort of motorized vehicle. But they know how to ride a bike. And that's pretty good. I don't know what your thought is. I mean, we clump all of the folks that are here illegally or seeking asylum in one kind of bucket. But the more that I read about folks from Haiti coming to the United States and why they are coming to the United States, I've formulated, at least within my head, it's not all pieced together. But if what I'm understanding is true, then I'm going to come out and say that if a Haitian citizen is filing for some type of asylum, I'm saying they should get it. And not only should they get it, but they should also be able to get a work permit as soon as possible so they can get out there and work. And you might be saying, why? Because what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding kind of nauseates me, and maybe it would you also. I had been told, such as to at least at the onset, believe that the United States of America is responsible for a lot of the crap that is going on in Haiti. How we have helped to overthrow John Bertrand Aristide, who was elected back in the early 1990s and then again in 2004. And we played a pivotal role in overthrowing the government that they currently have. Now, I'm trying to find out more information. I'm in contact with a guy who was from Haiti and writes for a Haitian paper here in the United States, actually does the English edition of their paper, because I want to piece all this together. But if it is true that the United States has been part of overthrowing the government in Haiti, well, then damn it, they deserve to come here. You could argue with me if you want about this, but if our country is responsible for helping to overthrow a government down there, then they have a right to come to the United States and seek asylum. 508-996-0500. Hello.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Brian, when it comes to the Haitian immigrants, I have no problem whatsoever. They are the definition of asylum. They are the definition. They're 90 minutes away from our coast. We are the first country that they come in contact with that's a United Nations country. They are war-torn. They're beyond war-torn. It's total chaos in that country. They are the definition of why they should be let into this country with open arms. Of course.
Of that stated, what about if the United States has been provoking all of it?
Oh, even more so. Even if they were provoking it, which, you know something, Brian, I think you have some truth to that, because they did do a lot of funny stuff there during the Clinton administration, and even after the earthquake. All the money that got funneled in there that never really helped the Haitians at all, and we never knew what happened, like with that money with Clinton and Bush and everything else. So there's a lot of stuff in there in Haiti that our government doesn't want the general public to know what they actually did there, because none of the money after the Haitian earthquake, that country was already poor. That earthquake devastated that country, and it was never the same. The only way that country is going to come back. Explain to me why, Brian. I am all for it. Why don't we have troops on the ground and sending millions of dollars to Haitians? They're 90 miles away. We could solve that problem so easily. It's an island, half of an island, because the other half belongs to the Dominican Republic, which they're putting up crazy borders there to keep the Haitians out. So we could solve that problem. Oh, let me guess. There's no money involved in that country. That's really that's the definition of humanitarian help right there. We have people being murdered and butchered. Okay, 90 miles away from our coast. Oh, maybe because the color of their skin, they're not important. I thought the Democrats all about equity and equality. 90 miles away, these people are being slaughtered, and we're doing nothing about it.
It sounds like Gaza.
Yeah, well, Gaza is a different situation because they brought it upon themselves when it comes to that, which I wish there was some way to like stop the violence, but until Hamas says we're going to stop, I don't see how the Jewish people could stop. I don't, because the majority of those people voted for that type of government, Hamas. So, you know, I disagree with you there, Brian. In Haiti, it's a whole different situation. What's happened in Haiti, we're doing an injustice 90 miles away. So when it comes to the Haitian immigrants, I have no problem with that. They are the definition of asylum. These people are being persecuted and murdered, and we're doing nothing about it because there's no money involved, and maybe because they're not white enough for our country. I don't know. Maybe it's that, because they talk about that all the time. It's all about color with these people. So we're having human beings being slaughtered 90 miles away, and our country does nothing. Think about that, people.
Oh, I think our country is doing quite a bit, but it's not like the right thing.
It's not the right thing. They could right now, 90 miles away.
Your tax dollars are being...
I have no problem. Listen, I agree with you.
Check this out, though. Did you know that your tax dollars are being used to fund Kenya to send troops over to Haiti? Your tax dollars.
I did not know.
And my tax dollars.
And I know that our tax dollars right now, we just give billions of dollars to the Middle East to help with their borders.
Well, yeah.
Billions.
Well, and about $35 billion in weaponry to Israel to further what they're doing. Well, listen, but you know what? There's the other part that's missing. I did not realize this until I heard a report about it 2 or 3 weeks ago. But apparently, there is a lot of gold dust on Haiti. And that, about $20 billion worth. So we always, you know what?
I'm sorry.
We always say, follow the money. So maybe this is why they want Haitians
chaos.
to leave. You create chaos, get the people out of there. My guess is there are a few Haitians that know that there's gold there, and they have a devil of a time, no pun intended, to try to get at it between the earthquakes, mudslides, and occasional wars that go on in their country.
Brian, I would not be surprised, but out of all the things that we have in the world, I have no problem. We could solve this problem. It's half of an island. We could get that island controlled probably in 2 or 3 months.
But you know what? I'm listening to you, and I know you mean well when you say that. But I think the Haitians would tell you they don't want the United States trying to solve their problem.
I think the majority of people there do. I think the majority, because they have no government. They have no government.
Well, they have no government because the United States doesn't allow them to have a government. They say that, well, it's not the government you're supposed to have, and then they set up some type of puppet regime. Let them be who they want to be.
So we just stand here 90 miles away and let these people get slaughtered? I don't know.
I think the slaughter is happening because we as a country allow it to happen.
There you go. But listen, we have important stuff to talk about. We have the borders of the defending European and Middle East countries. Those borders are more important than solving an easy problem in Haiti or solving our own problem. Because again, like you said, and I totally agree with you, there's no money involved in that. It's all about, and that's why we have such a black eye around the world, because the people see how our government functions. And I can understand why a lot of countries hate our country. Because the more you look into it, we meddle and we destroy a lot of small little countries because, just like you said, for the minerals and everything else. That was just like Afghanistan. We left Afghanistan for a reason. China moved right in because there's a large cobalt over there in China, large battery cobalt over there.
In China or Afghanistan?
I'm sorry, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
China moved in there right after we left, almost like it was perfectly planned. Okay, so it goes to show you this is why we get a black eye. But it's not the people of this country, Brian. I don't think they want what's happening. The majority, I think that the minority is running this country, and the majority goes to vote. But somehow the people that we don't want to get in always seem to get in. It makes you wonder: is the system really working? Are these votes really being counted? Because you hear all the outrage.
Look, Donald Trump questioned it.
No. I'm not talking about Donald Trump.
But he questioned the counting of the votes. If it could, I'm not saying it happened that way, but if it could happen to Donald Trump, couldn't it have happened to anybody else running for Congress or state rep or senator?
Of course.
Well, that's all I'm saying. If you're questioning the system, the voting system in and of itself, well. Who knows? Who knows?
It's we talk about that we want a country a certain way, but at the end of the day, it always goes to the way it always was. It doesn't matter what party it is. They all fall in line for a certain theme, how they want to run this country, and it's very businesslike, and they don't care about destroying other countries, just as long as their pockets are being filled. And that's what's happening right now in Europe, and that's what's happening all over the Middle East. Because as we speak right now in Afghanistan, we have Al Qaeda already over 40 camps over there in Afghanistan. So they're retraining everything else. So we basically left there so they can get strong again. So we go back in and fight them again. That'll be the future war to make more money.
All I'm going to say is you're learning.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, it's locally in Dartmouth, I think that we took a hit in school committee. Everything we talked about, all politics are local. I think we had a good candidate in Ross, and I do not agree with the candidate that got elected. She's all about the equality and everything else. Everything else that we. So I warned the people.
She's Shannon Jenkins in a different color.
Yeah. So I hope the people, the residents in Dartmouth, you voted for her. I respect the vote. Watch her closely. Watch her extremely closely.
Got you, man. Hey, thanks for the call.
Take care.
I do appreciate it. 508 996-0500. Let's go to one more before we go to break. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. You're
Hi.
on. You're on. You're on. You're on.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Speak.
All right. Speak. Okay. I'm 100% in support of not having people slaughtered. Definitely children, adults slaughtered. I'm 100% opposed to that. My question is, since they're using all the taxpayer money for things they want, how can we continue as a country to keep trying to save other countries when we're not saving those who served in the military and are finding themselves homeless, and people who've worked all their life and now, they're messing around with our Social Security and taking away certain benefits. So how do you take that amount of money that taxpayers are paying and split it between all that's going on with those who need it in this country, the Americans who need it, and yet help other countries? I don't understand. I don't have the magic reason or how to break that. If someone does, please tell me.
Unfortunately, I think you're going to find a lot of people that listen to this radio station, including yours truly, in your camp. The only thing that I can say that I've been saying for a number of years is this country is already broke, and we are living on borrowed money and borrowed credit time right now. I don't know how we are able to float. If it were another country, they would be dead and broke, but they would be Venezuela. And we are, except for the fact that we have such an extreme high life of living, we are not Venezuela, but financially we're pretty darn close to it.
True. Thank you for listening.
No problem. Thank you for your call. And call again, 508-996-0500. I'm Brian in for Barry. Hey, that's me. Glad to be with you today. I do have Brian's beat on Saturday. We'll be back on Saturday from 7 to 9. Actually, we're back in Barry's show tomorrow from noon 15 after O'Reilly until 3 o'clock today. Howie up after me. Let's hear from you. 508-996-0500. Hello.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Wanging my wang.
All right, you go, man. Hey, it's pretty simple that, the rich people run the country. The middle class working people support the country, and the poor people take from both. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, if you're the working class person, you don't qualify for anything. And if you're really rich, you can move money around, you can influence legislation, politics, et cetera, et cetera. And if you're really, really poor, you just apply and get,
You apply and what, get away with it?
Well, if you're really poor, you get, health benefits, you get food benefits, you get housing benefits. It's pretty simple the way the country's really ran.
Yeah, but it might be simple, but it seems very complicated, and not only complicated but convoluted, and not the way that it's really supposed to work. I will disagree I think there are three classes. I think that there is the classified rich folks. I think there is the working class. I don't think there's such a thing as a middle class because, you could be making $100,000. That's middle class. But you're still working. You still have to get up in the morning or whatever time, put your pants on like everybody else and go out and try to make that money, because if you don't, then all of a sudden you fall down into the I need it class, which would be the poor class, not working. But you could have been what was deemed middle class before, but because you can't work for whatever reason or don't want to work, you're now in that protected class where government is taking care of you. Right.
I mean, you said it just like I kind of put it out there. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah, but the middle class part is the confusing part. People want to be like the middle class. Elizabeth Warren is out fighting for the middle class. There ain't no middle class.
Well, what would you call the blue-collar, everyday worker? Just
working class.
Working class, okay.
Working class. And you can be white-collar and you're working class.
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, you were, as you said before, you're the person who's paying. You're paying for the poor and you're paying for the rich.
Yep, that's exactly the way it goes, without a doubt. You said it, and that's the honest truth. It's what's so sad is that when I look at my life, I have no problem paying taxes and helping the handicapped, the elderly. Even in a lot of cases, the poor. But that system is broken. Broken. There's too much of people that should not be provided for, getting all kind of benefits. And all I hear on the radio is immigrants. The majority of the people that are taking with government subsidies is American people.
Without a doubt.
That live here.
You're absolutely right. I'm only up against the clock, so I'm going to let you go at that. But I do appreciate the call.
Agree with me.
All right, man.
Glad you agree with me.
Take it easy. I was talking about folks coming across the northern border. According to Customs and Border Patrol, 564